All right, let's get into it. What time are we at? Quarter past 11 on the 8th of November. So I'm sure everybody was up early this morning just to watch the rate decision from the US, as exciting as that is. I was just down at the coffee shop actually, and how's the week going? And I said, oh yeah, it's up this morning. It's watch the US rate decisions and go, oh, okay, how was that? Like, has absolutely zero idea, but I was like, look, man, it's about as exciting as it could be for it all. Just the look on his face was like, oh, okay, cool, cool. But anyway, whatever. Regardless of that, let's get into it. Start off with DXY because this is obviously the main driver with everything at the moment. The big stuff, sort of on talking points, obviously still Trump with the tariffs and all this kind of stuff. And we saw the big jump up. And, I already sort of covered my sort of feelings on all this kind of stuff. It was a bit, let's be honest, it was a bit crap. Um, everybody saying it was going to be a close, it was neck and neck and all this kind of thing. And that causes big de-risk, I suppose you could say, de-risk from the Trump trade kind of thing. And obviously big gap down on the Monday. Come to the actual day, it was never a competition. It was never even in thought. And that's what gave us this large jump up here, and bang, away it went. But the cool off afterwards is what's kind of interesting. So, look, the move up here, I thought this was quite good because we had this sort of like three drive move up through here. This is on lower time frames, but of course, the same thing applies higher time frames as well. And you saw this sort of like level, and it was coming into this sort of area. If we zoom out and we sort of go, why is it stopping at this level? Well, we look back and we sort of say, look, this has been quite an important level around this 105. Apart from the fact of the general sort of thing that it's a big round number, we can see that, markets tried to hold it here. It's tried to sell it down, got through. It was a little pivot point, failed. It was a pivot point again. So it's an area in which the market has really danced around a number of times, as you can see. So, it's no sort of shocker that once we come back into it, give or take a couple of cents in that, the market has acted accordingly there again. So, we've seen it as a reason as to why it kind of sort of stopped at this point. The technicals are here showing the three drive. That's fine. Is this the chart that I was on a second ago? It's a bit different. Here we go. It's multi-lines, that's why. Some things are stuck on a certain timeline. Whoops, not that one. Bear with me 1 second here. It's the other one. Here is this one. I think this one here as well. Anyway, not super relevant now because obviously it broke down under this level, but it is something that obviously it was respected bouncing down, and then as it's come up the underside, it's all obviously sort of respected it a little bit here as well. So I would say this little sort of somewhat pullback channel kind of thing's been slightly negated now. We can see that they've come down on a steeper kind of angle, which seems to line up quite well as well. Let's just make it a bit thinner because it's not as important. Differentiate. Put a different color on. Let's make it this one. Whatever. No real sort of system to my colors. It's just kind of whatever I feel like at the time. A bit of OCD with it all, I suppose. But let's see. Can we make this match up anywhere? Yeah, that's not looking too bad. So, look, these kind of things give us little levels in which we could sort of use as like confirmations. I think the main thing where we've got this alert from over here, which is the high that we put in last night with the FOMC, which was 25 basis point cut, which was what was widely expected. The normal price action, I was watching it with a mate last night or this morning, um, and the price action around it wasn't the sort of normal, like like the actual rate decision was very muted. I think overshadowed firstly by the election stuff and also the fact that it was widely anticipated anyway. But then the press conference is generally where you see it fly up and down and up and down. Somebody will ask one question and it'll shoot down. Someone will ask another question, shoot up, and you get a little bit of flying around. Didn't so much see a lot of that. I traded a little bit of silver through that period. I was buying silver and gold and Aussie yesterday, so that did quite well because I got a little bit snapped out with some gold positions on that big drop down as we had this big push up over here. So didn't manage that so well on the day, but made up for it yesterday with a combination of metals, basically, sort of Aussie, silver, and gold. Copper I didn't trade, but I used it for my Aussie trade. And I'll get onto the metals and that in a moment. But anyway, back to what we're looking at here. So look, obviously it's come back. It's come back down from, if we take the low, this little fib retracement that I've got going on here, which actually should be green. So let's make this up. There we go, green. So we know that we're looking at an up move here. Um, if we have a look from the lows from Wednesday prior to the election, and now the pullback down here, we can see it came all the way back down and bounced like to the cent on the 61%, 104.18 down here. It did try and rally up a little bit, of course, but getting stuck again where we've seen the sellers previously, because remember, this was that big level that we were sort of dealing with coming up through that channel. We had the big negative divergence, which is on the 4 hour, I believe it was. Yeah, as you can see, sort of coming up here each time, no buying pressure. And this is the level in which we sort of got stuck on. And now it's back down underneath it. So this basically, again, this is what you got to say. So like, this is where the sellers were. The sellers were. That they got blown out. Everybody got blown out that was trying to sort of be dollar short with this sort of thing. We're now back underneath it. You can see that they tried to hold it. Whoop. They used it as a launch pad on the way up. So it's an important level in the intermediate, because this is where the market was happy to sell it. Trump situation, elections, all the talks of tariffs, all this kind of stuff, stops being hit. Like, that's the thing. There would have been a lot of stops around these areas. They've all been sort of wiped out, come back down, retest, gone for the extension, for the continuation. Obviously hasn't got it. And now it's back down underneath here. And the market has decided, why, once again, we like to sell it here. There's 104.60. So what you want to see now is that if you're looking for a dollar position to move up, you want to see that if they come back here again, you want to see a depletion of sellers here. If we come up and it tests here and then goes down again, well, that's to me, that's your early indicator that we're going much lower. Big breakout to the downside is if we take out these levels over here. You go down under 103, I think we're going to see some nice pullbacks. I think this is going to be an area that we're probably going to be seeing at least. Let me just zoom out and work on this a little bit more. I would say at the very least you'd be coming down to 102, if not down, to test this 102.60 area. And this isn't necessarily coming all the way up here. Just something like this, whatever. It doesn't matter. That part's irrelevant. If we get under here, this is going to be, for me, a fake breakout to the top side, sweep out all the shorts, and then really drive it down. And I think we're going to see things get smacked down, because remember, again, all these times, I cover this over and over again, but look at the kind of price action you get around tops with DXY. It's failing down, massive drive up, and then it fails. So there's no reason why this, as we see this coming down here, if you look at these two periods side by side, oh, you can't do it side by side, too far apart. Where are we at? Oh, here we are, here. Actually, maybe you can see it vaguely side by side. Let's clear it up a little bit. So, moving down from the top, spikes right back up, then fails. Moving down, spikes back up, not so much. This one's not as a bigger sort of thing, because of course we were coming off this massive trend up here. This, albeit, yes, came up a lot higher. Took out all these levels over here as well. But what I'm saying is, if this does come down here and breaks down here, think about this little area as your little range breakout box. This is a move to go out the top. And remember, a failed breakout is as good as a breakout, just in the other direction. Now, of course, there is also the chance that the likelihood that this is just a little bit of a cooling and we see that price sort of comes back and then starts to rally back up over here. I mean, there are fundamental reasons for this to be moving back up over here. But first things first, you got to see a depletion of these levels here, because this is where the market was happy to sell it last time. This big move up here and now pull back down underneath it means that this level's back in effect, in my opinion. So if you take out, yesterday's lows, which is the 61, then we probably look to, I would say, realistically, you're probably looking to come down to either top side of this falling resistance, which test that for a bit of support. This could be an area of interest with a bit of a confluence with this horizontal here. Of course, it all depends how fast it comes down to here. But this kind of area, closing the gap and retesting this area through here. They're the downside targets that I'm sort of looking for in the intermediate. You will get a reaction, definitely from here, you'll get a reaction because this will close that gap. And also we know that it's an identified support area. So I don't think if it comes down here, I'd expect a pretty decent little bounce. But you could get something a little bit midway through here as well as it comes down into this little smaller horizontal. I mean, this big red band is something that we've obviously identified previously as well. So this kind of area, 104, it's a round number as well. Underneath that, 103.45, 103.50, this kind of area, close that gap. They're the two areas that I'd be looking at. And as I said, if you go for the topside move, take out that wick from that 4 hour, which we put in with the FOMC, and then continue up. And then you might be looking at a 61% retracement, take out these highs, you come back up to sort of test this area through here. And of course, that then is your breakout to then sort of go this, that. That takes you back above 106. But I'm leaning more to the downside moves down here. And this is the reason I sort of bought gold and Aussie in that yesterday. I didn't expect, honestly, the bounce that we had on copper to be so strong. It came all the way back up, and that really sort of helped. That with equity markets pumping up is what really got Aussie to sort of spring back into life. Like Aussie was, I mean, I'll do it next, but that really sort of is kicking back into gear at the moment. But we're hitting some resistance areas, particularly with the metals. What I mean, Aussies just put in a lower high on a higher time frame. It's still that little sort of funny time in the morning where we don't really get the full volume in. Probably in the next sort of half hour or so, we'll have a better idea about what's going to happen. But certainly things are, for the most part, just consolidating their highs of their bounces. So there's no guarantee that this is the top of the bounce. No guarantee that it's going to fall down the other way. So I'll get through to it and sort of find some levels where we can use for some confirmation. But they're the two scenarios I think you're probably looking at. I'm leaning more to a deeper pullback, at least minimum sort of close this gap down at 103.50, which if we see this, we'll get gold back up. I think the next level, I'll cover that in a moment, is 27.25. Silver, I'll have to have a look at that one there, and Aussie probably up, poking its head over 67, about 67.10 or so, but we'll get to that in one sec. So yeah, I think the levels to look for at the moment are obviously underneath 104.18 and above 104.68. Take out either side of this candle here, I think will give us our direction. All right, flip across. We got Aussie, and this is what I'm talking about. This bounce back here yesterday. Now, I think I put it on. I've got it on two charts here. So, yeah, I think these were the two levels that we were kind of looking for as a major swings, highs and lows. I actually cleaned up my Aussie chart for the first time in quite a while. We did see quite obviously sort of like a nice sort of like push sort of through yesterday. And once this little horizontal here got taken out, which was the 61% of the drop down. So if we do this down here like this, make this a down one, down. We can see that drop down came up here, 61%. It held it, came down, held it again, came down, held it again, So there's a number of times it was pushing against it. And obviously, once it actually popped through, well, it was pretty much a one-way trade. And as I said, this was helped along by the idea of copper bouncing back so strongly and also equity markets not giving back any of their Trump trade. So with all the markets sort of pricing this, oh, Trump trade and all this kind of stuff, um, most things are doing this and reverting back. Like if you just quickly have a look at, say, the euro, it's come back a little bit, halfway. Obviously, Aussie outperforming. So Aussie's obviously doing a lot better. It's up over here. You can tell this as well because then you look at the crosses like Euro Aussie, for instance, and Euro Aussie having a very, very tough time. What a beautiful break this is, though. But this was the ones where, yes, and then it just a double whack down there. So Aussie very much in demand at the moment. Aussie yen, bang, pushing up to the top side here. But back to the US dollar things, and here we got the pound pushing back up over things. So a lot of these moves are getting undone from the Trump move or the Trump trade, the election trade, whatever you want to call it. But if you look at sort of the equity markets, bang, they've moved up and they're just consolidating the highs. So, there's some interesting sort of bits of price action right across the board at the moment. But what we're mainly interested in is obviously Aussie. Measured move gives us this one 67.10 kind of area, depending where you put this little breakout level from. This is the measured move of this wedge. So if we drag this, put it over here, that's the measured move of the wedge from the breakout point. We had our back test, and this I've covered a number of times with Aussie as well. If you put it on a daily, you might be able to see a bit better. It breaks the wedge, and then it'll come down. I mean, obviously this was like Trump driven, whatever, but it'll come down, retest lower than the breakout point, snap out the people that get into the early sort of break positions that go, hey, I bought the break, I put my stop to even, bang, well, sorry, you're out, put the stop below, you're out. And look at the reaction that's sort of come back here. Like, it's one of these things, this is a decent day. This is when we had the RBA, and then we had Trump, and then we had the aftermath. So I think that this is very much looking like, this is a big, massive bounce coming. Look, this could sort of just go, and we could find that, look, we're just batting our heads against the wall kind of thing. But a plausible move here is very much to, as I said, coming up to the measured move, which comes in line with a horizontal zone through the middle here. We can see this has been support. We can see it's been resistance. It'll be resistance again. It does get us, look, we're up at the 38 at the moment. I would say that definitely we get a little bit of a push up here over 67, as I was saying. I think that, there's enough sort of momentum with this move here. This is like one of those, which I go on about as well, one of those high heel bottom kind of moves. Where we go, you can't really see. I'm trying to find what time frame I can sort of illustrate it best on, but I think maybe the 4 hour. But again, anyway, it's a stereotypical cliche, whatever. One of these. Where's the little drawing thing? Here's your shoe. Here's your little stiletto-y bit. Bang. This is the breakout bit around here. So when you see these dribble up, fire down, fire back up moves, this is a reversal. You can see them at the top, and you can see them at the bottom. I mean, if I actually think about this, if you invert something like this, so if we invert this, and this is why I was saying that if this breaks this level here, we're going to see a strong move, because here's your shoe, here's your little stiletto, there's your thing. This is your breakout area to go above this one over here. So if you get above here, this is where we're going to see quite a strong move, in my opinion. It's not guaranteed that it's going to get up here. I mean, nothing's a guarantee, of course, but this is how those setups go. Dribble up, fire down, fire back up. That's just smashing all the things, grabbing liquidity, and then just running. Because there's going to be a lot of stops on this part over here as well. So, you sort of think that they may want to sort of see what happens with that and then run that up to the top side there. So that's definitely a possibility. And just another sort of way of sort of looking at, DXY to sort of say that, look, if we get below this little bit here, as you can see, this setup can work both directions, but the breakout point is still the same. So onto Aussie, let's get rid of some of these things. Get rid of this. So yeah, I do think we have a little bit of upside to go with Aussie. I was trying to sort of build this little flag area through here. So far, we're just butting heads on this little area here where we've seen the sellers. This is on the 1 hour. Let's put it on the 4 hour. Do we see anything? Yeah, so on the 4 hours, you can see that, look, there was some selling happening at this zone on the way down. Of course, coming back up into that 90s area, typical kind of thing for it all. So if we get down on here. Look, I think if we sort of drop down, even sort of a little move under here. Oops. That's your little area you want to hold for now. Realistically, if you get down to 52, well, that's the wick. Underneath this, you've got a bit of previous highs for a retest kind of thing. But at the moment, what we're kind of looking at is potentially, so if we do anything with this, not a big fan of that anyway. Um, what we're kind of sort of looking at here, sorry, is potentially a lower high that sort of come in here. So if you take out the wick, look, you've got this rising support from yesterday, which could see a little bit of a pullback. I don't think we can make a channel or anything with this. It doesn't really set up for anything, and no, I don't like that one. I would say that sort of you want to see this flip and move up to the top side here. If this fails down here, yes, you've got this rising support, but I think if this fails, we're either going to see a deeper pullback to low 66s, or just a real stuff around here. You want to probably break this and break it early. And then, as I said, poke your head above sort of 67. Though, even if we do get up to there, I imagine to get a little bit of selling and a bit of headwind here as well. So really, we just got to keep an eye, see what they're going to be doing with the US dollar. And if they decide to sort of try and break that out and run it back up, well, obviously we look for either short positions or just wait on it and then try and sort of catch the next sort of swing back up towards the top sides there. But the fact that this sort of broke out of the channel, did the back test, held, and then has sort of moved off, obviously that's been respected somewhat. But I'd be surprised if we don't just get at least another little push up before maybe a little bit more sort of cooling. But at the moment, it's coming into the 38% retracement of this whole drop down period here. So, it is a little bit sort of still in danger zone. If it can break above this stuff, if it can get back up over these top parts over here, well, then we got something to think about. But yeah, I think first things first, we need to sort of take out that where we get to, 87, 88 or so overnight. All right, so yeah, basically that's covered. Gold. Gold sort of very much sort of sprung back to life yesterday. So I got a couple of positions in gold and then I got stopped. And it's only small things. So I was just sort of like having a little bit of a dabble around here. I did get a great entry. I think it was like 50, 58 or something. It was around here or so. Literally as I sort of sold this part here, came like sort of bought it here, sold it here, bought it here, and I'm like, okay, that's it, I've got it. I was in like 57 or something, 58, and just before this move came up through here, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, this is the one I bought the bottom, I'm gonna hold it. It's just not my style, it's not my jam, and yeah, it's not really something that I seem to be able to. Not that I can't seem to be able to do it because you go in and out with these things a couple of times, but it was just after what's called Wednesday, I was just like, nah, lock things in, lock things in. And look, it worked for me. I had a pretty decent day yesterday, and I made back everything I lost on Wednesday anyway. So, yeah, it turned the week positive. So, I mean, that is in itself a positive. Anyway, enough of that. Where we're at the moment, we got this big drop down here. We've got, again, the 61% poking its head up. So this is an area which is going to be a little bit tough, and you can expect a little bit of pushback, which we saw last night. as you can see, this is the FOMC kind of period. It pushed up here. It actually broke out. I was trading silver at the time. I was charting the gold at this point as well. I saw it sort of break, and I was just like, well, here we go. And even this morning, it's opening up and looking quite bullish. It's a little bit overbought. That's on the 1 hour. The 4 hour, it looks like it has room to move. And this is what I'm saying. Like, I would be okay. This is an area that we're going to have to deal with, in my opinion. Um, where are we at here? So pretty much there's 27.15. And this was make me think there could be a little bit of a push up, and the same thing if Aussie sort of pushes just up a little bit more, gets up, hits these areas. I could see a little bit of a pushback from this area here, mainly being because this was such a strong support area. And this is what I was saying yesterday, that there's going to be people that bought this bit, bought this bit, bought, oh, they didn't buy this bit here. Bought this bit here. Oh, I've got this extra one. And they don't necessarily just cut their position straight away, but comes back up here. If you get the chance to sort of mitigate your losses, well, you're going to go, look, I'll take my money off the table, and you know what I mean. I'll just close those positions out. That's going to add to some selling. So I think this is going to be an important and crucial area for us to get above. Should it get above there? You again, look, this is what I mean, sort of like you're going to be running into these kind of areas over here, which were the bottom wicks from previously as well. So it's going to be very similar. We got the falling resistance from the highs up here. So this is going to be a very crucial area, in my opinion, for gold. Oops. And something, look, I'm not sort of short on this at the moment. I want to see what happens here because I'll get to it in a moment. These massive sell down periods have led in the past to massive breakouts. And as we're seeing, sort of like, I haven't seen copper yet, but with copper as well, we can see it. The recoveries can be very strong. And same with Aussie, we saw the recoveries can be very strong. So, and you know what I mean? This has been a big shakedown, as you can see here, 5%, actually higher now, actually, where we are. Over 5% from the highs, 146 buck pullback. This could be a big reload thing to get up here. You've got levels to confirm these things, namely sort of 27.47. I think that'll be your sort of confirmation that you've got something moving a little bit higher. Let's pull this on here. Let's call it 50, whatever. This will be a big area to get above because you can see how much they were holding it on the way down. So look, I don't think that necessarily this is going to happen right now. I'm just saying that's where I'd call confirmation. This is the area where I think we're going to get a bit of a reaction because, again, like with the horizontals, this is the falling resistance. It won't go through the first time. What you want to see with these kind of breakouts, I can show actually a good example because this is what I was trading yesterday. This little area through, where was it? It was through this area, through here. I can't remember where. Bear with me, check my other charts. Alright, so it was this area through here and then coming down through here. This is the kind of area that I was trading yesterday, which sort of allowed me to sort of get that decent entry, of course. So with a falling resistance, bang, it comes down here, sells down, comes in here, sells down. This is the kind of stuff you want to see when it comes into it. So it's not going to just necessarily get to it and then just fire through. It's going to have a pullback like it has every time. Sellers hit it, sellers hit it, sellers hit it. But the pullback you want is really quite minimal. So for instance, how you'd apply it to this area here would be a push up to the falling resistance, push back down here, and then a drive through. So a quick drive through. And this is what I say sort of with these things. Like if it's been a long time, relatively speaking, for whatever you're trading and whatever, it won't go through the first time. What you want to see is the little pullback, but you want to see a break of the general sort of price action. So typically this kind of thing, if we were to be continuing with it, well, it would start a move like this. And sellers hit this line, sellers hit the line, and you'd want to see a continued sell down here. This is why this is a good target and it's a good short option to sort of give it a shot from here if you want to get short on it. What you want to see for a long, though, is a pullback. That's fine. This leg will come, but you want to see the buyers continue pushing up and go, that's fine. And then a break of that level there will be, okay, we're through that falling resistance. That's a depletion of the sellers that are trading off this falling resistance. So yeah, I think sort of between sort of 727 and 715, that's going to be an area where we're going to see some sort of pushback, which will obviously sort of give us a little bit of a reprieve for the US dollar sell down as well. So we'll have to see how that sort of plays out. As it is at the moment, obviously we're sort of selling back down here. Look, the 61 could be it. That could be the level, and we could see this sort of push back down here. If we get onto a smaller side, so say we don't get the big push up here, and we just go sell down from the open, these are the kind of levels that you're looking for. Yeah. So, if we break 704, you're looking down only a couple of bucks down to the 2700 round number. If you look at below that, then you really want to be holding 88. If you get down under 88, whether it sort of gets the push up first or it just sells down right now, that's your short option down here. So if I look at this right now as well, you want to see, like, I mean, as I said, coming up for 13 minutes and that till 12 o'clock where we're going to see a little bit of volume, hopefully, slash no doubt. Things can obviously just turn around and flip and move back up over here. We have seen little games like that be played, but that's on a 30-minute. So look, the 4-hour looks okay-ish, but again, yeah, that's that little wick area. So underneath that 4-hour wick, then you're going to see this pullback, in my opinion. But till then, there's no reason at this stage to think that this won't still have another little bit in it. The candle here was a little bit thinner, a bit of a back test through there. But if this breaks the highs, so it goes past 710, they're your levels just above. So, not getting close to the top of that sort of little move there. So we just have to see again, and it sort of it gets a bit repetitive. Got to see what they're going to do with the US dollar, because that's the big one with it there, really. Just while I'm on metals as well, I'll flip across and show gold-silver ratio. This is one that I, again, sort of used for confirmation that I wanted to see, that I sort of thought that metals might have a little bit of a push-up from last night, yesterday. The fact that we had this negative divergence moving through this last area here and also coming into this horizontal. It took a little bit of stuffing around, but obviously once we took out this level here, bang, push down. So we're retesting that little short-term resistance. Again, break this level down here. So we're going to put this here, and we're going to say intraday strength for metals. Yep, that'll confirm it for me. We'll look down to this next level over here and see what happens with that. This kind of action here, say you get this push and this flips and comes down here and goes through here, this is what's going to get gold up to that level. You'll find support on this horizontal. If not, you've got this next rising support underneath it. So this little area over here is going to be interesting for the gold-silver ratio. And you've got to think how these things line up at about potentially at the same time. So if we put these side by side and you put gold over here, there's a plausible idea that, as I said, if this flips and comes down here, remember, sort of down will be more gold, silver metals bullish, and obviously up reverse. As you can see here, it's pushing up, gold's pushing down. Different price, different time frames, I know. But anyway, the point being is if we get this to flip and come down here, we're probably going to find some support here. This will be about the same time that we'll see this flip, and this will push up here, and we'll find some resistance up here. So they're just the inverse of each other with that kind of price action. So that's a plausible play for me there, sort of thinking that we might see a sell-off here. Again, you come down, you break that next level, that'll give you a breakout at about the same time that we're seeing it on gold as well. All right, so that's this flip in there. Come across, we've got silver. Silver bounced right back in. Look, it is. This is what I said yesterday, and it's hit right on the money. This is the path that we said. Look, it's going to come back up here. We had the big negative divergence, as you know. I love the negative divergence for the reversals. Came all the way back up here, hit this falling resistance on point. It completed this big drop down, came into this horizontal, and now it's sort of selling back a little bit. So the question here is, are we going to get continuation down to this side here? Or, like I said before, are we going to get a small pullback and find that the buyers decide to have another go from here and try and move it up? That would give you something a bit more like that. So really above 32.20 is where you want to see it go to sort of say, okay, look, we might be coming a little bit higher with silver. Certainly back in the game, negative divergence are a great sort of reversals. But again, you want to see the confirmation and the push through. The fact that it broke through this, it was not a super channel, but it was respected quite a few times, and obviously price was punished. It's just a matter of whether that is done now. So we can say, we can update this a little bit and put a little buyer's ledge in here and say, look, that's your level you want it to beat. If it breaks below this, well, this seems like a fairly decent channel, and we know where it's going to come down to next, probably most likely down to, yeah, those lows across here. I mean, this isn't a guaranteed kind of thing. You'd have to do a little bit more. But, you know, around this area. So I'd be looking, yeah, probably around 30 on a break of 30.70. I mean, it's 31.87 right now. So, you know, as I said, yesterday was quite a decent day for silver. So you want to see that momentum carry on. But, you know, got a plan for both sides. And if you go underneath 30.76, well, 30 is pretty much where you'd probably be expecting to find the next lot of buyers if we're going to see them come in. So yeah, short term, see if this flips and takes out the top side here. I'd expect a little bit of a pushback and then maybe a rally attempt, but that's certainly 30.20 is what you want to see it get above. If you do get above here, well, there's a good chance that we see something similar to this. You know what I mean? There's a couple of little intermediate levels through here, but more or less, you're looking up around 33. So, you know, if it's going to recover, 32.20 is the level for it to beat in the short term. Copper really sort of hammered through here. So obviously these were the two sort of outcomes I was thinking. Look, both of them had a move up with copper, which we saw. It was a matter of whether it was going to reject here and then go through. If we have a look on a lower time frame, we can see how the price reacted. So it did get a little bit of a reaction through here, which is fine. But again, it very shallow, super shallow pullback. Took out the highs, the second attempt, and came through. Once it was through, a little back test, or where, yeah, a couple of cents, whatever, either side of it all, took out the high. So this is your breakout, your back test. This here is your confirmation, higher high from the breakout, and away it went. And obviously it's just back up a level as above here. So where it's interesting where it sort of found support through here and where it's trying to test for now. Because as you can see, smaller level here, there's a level here. I'm sure if we go back here, and well, what a shocker. That was the highs of that first breakout. It feels like ages ago. So 9 days ago or something, 10 days ago. But it is a level that we've seen has been quite crucial. Underneath this, we drag this one in because this is the top of that horizontal. So this will be your next level should we break that one. And as you can see, on the way down, it was also a level. So you just need to see time and time again, where is the market valued it? Where are the points that they decide to just go, yep, I'm going to buy it from here, I'm going to sell it from there, and then you trade off those. So where it stopped here as well, look at this, you can just, it's almost like you can just drag these things across, well, you can drag these things across. Previous highs over here, previous highs here. Markets decided to sell it here, markets decided to sell it here, markets decided to sell it here. And this is the same thing that I was talking about with DXY, that, you know, once you prove yourself back up above whatever level you're working with previously, well, you need to regain that. And that's why sort of like, the fact that sort of like it got back up above this level here, buyers were happy to step in. Obviously, as you can see, it's probably a little bit better if you had that a bit more here. Whatever, it doesn't matter, it's a couple of cents. The point is that it broke through, it came back, broke through, came back, and moved forward. Bang, 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 up to the top here. So short term, see if it holds 449, 445. Underneath that, 428 is your level you want to see it hold. Underneath that, well, there's a good chance we just start doing this again. And it's really just a sweep, 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 going along here. This is really some incredible price action. As you can see here, 5% drop down, followed by a 5% bounce the next day. 5.7 drop down, followed by a 5% bounce. Like, this is wild price action. But what they're doing here is they're sucking in people, they're then stopping them out. Think about, as I said this yesterday through this thing, everybody had been trading this period here, diligently sitting, holding, putting their stops at the right level where the textbook told them. Well, bang, they're all out. They're all out for a loss, or they're all out for even, or whatever. Maybe they trailed it up here, who knows, but whatever. Anybody that still had their stops down here, they're taken out. So the question now is, do you take out the top level over here? Because this is obviously where we're looking for next. So top side, if you go above 450, bang, away you go. You do have this big falling resistance to worry about, but certainly, it's not the sort of dire straits as it was looking as that whole Trump thing was playing out. The thing is with this though, like, yeah, the the Trump trade and all this kind of stuff, it will be coming most likely. As to how extreme, that remains to be seen. But the idea that it will be eventually coming means that it will put pressure on upside movements till we hear otherwise, or till we hear sort of China doing something about it with some strong stimulus. But that'll probably weaken the yuan or yarn or whatever is a little bit as well. So that's a lot of things to sort of to think about and to sort of contemplate sort of moving forward. But certainly some interesting trades are going to be coming up soon over the next 6 months, next year, next 4 years maybe. We'll have to sort of see how much these things actually sort of play out and how much was just talk. Look, I'll finish off quickly because we do have 12 o'clock coming on now. We saw China got smacked on the nose, as we can see from this top level over here. This is where we were looking for a break underneath. It said, look, this could just consolidate this box here. It broke, it retested, right on point, and bang, sold down a little bit further. Back above 716, you might sort of see another push back up to the top side here if we see US dollar DXY sort of recover a little bit more. Alternatively, if this is going to break to the downside, then we could be seeing some little move like this, which could either be going this, or a bigger one, which would be this. They'd be more on the price side. So around these two levels here. So downside, if you break those lows, I think you're coming back down to 710. If you break above 716, your levels are 718 above these ones here, and then get back up into this top range over here. It's very hard to sort of pick what they're going to do necessarily, but if we drag out some little supports and resistance, bang, through here, whoops, through here, and through there, they're the levels that I want to see for direction. Okay, I've got 12 o'clock clicking across now, and metal's taking a bit of a bath. Down 20 points. That's all right. Okay, anyway, look, that is it from me for the moment. See, just quickly, have we got any news just to sort of finish this off? No, nothing of note really, sort of through the end of the week. All right, that's it from me.